Hello, mention of tax makes most of us yawn, including me, so here comes another nice boring video about tax. We really should pay attention to what's going on because we're being badly, I think you might say, worked over by the tax system. It's doing huge amounts of damage and people don't seem to want to get engaged with the reasons why. This is the information about tax from the HMRC itself. You'll notice there's about 10 of them. I did a video a few weeks ago and counted up 20 and then lost count. There are some more where I realised I missed some out. So there's an awful lot of taxes. Why do we need so many? Goodness only knows. Let's have a look at them. This is HMRC's bar chart made into a pie chart. Pretty, isn't it? Now, when we discuss tax, it's very important to remember that the burden of a tax doesn't necessarily fall on whoever is nominally responsible for paying the tax. So we might think we're paying the tax, but in fact somebody else is paying it. It's been passed along the chain. Now, in this diagram, I've merged national insurance and income tax and coloured them a pinky colour. And really they're jobs taxes. They're exactly the same as a payroll tax by another name, so effectively the employer is paying them, so we're deceived into thinking that we pay the tax but the employer pays it. It's a burden on the employer. And of course the result is that employers try to keep their labour costs down and get rid of employees, work them hard to make the most out of them. And at the bottom end of the scale, it's just not worth employing people if they can't produce enough to cover their costs. And here I've merged corporation tax into the pinks because all of these taxes are in fact taxes on employers, which of course means you might as well get rid of the whole lot and call it some sort of corporation tax. But we'll carry on. Business rates are also a tax on companies and employers. So you could merge those three into one. Don't need to have three separate taxes. In this one, I've stirred in value-added tax as well, because value-added tax, in fact, has to be built into the pay received by employees. And most of it also has to be absorbed by the sellers in order to maintain the volumes of sales. So in fact, all those taxes could be replaced by a single company tax or tax on business, which only leaves council tax, fuel duty, capital tax stays in there, tobacco and alcohol, what they call other receipts, and what they call other taxes. Now you'll notice that the other taxes are really a very small amount of the pie. They probably account for most of the 20 different taxes, all of which has its own set up and running costs and compliance costs, so they might as well get rid of those too. So we could have a really big simplification. Now remember that all taxes come out of rents in the end. That's an old principle. It was noted by the physiocrats about 300 years ago. It also follows from Ricardo's law of rent. It seems that everybody has forgotten. We could get rid of most of our taxes and replace them by one single company tax or corporate tax. I don't think this is a good idea though, because it might as well all be rolled into the business rate, which also wouldn't be a good idea because it taxes buildings and improvements. And it's really, at the end of all this, I've made the case for a land value tax, which is the only one that's worth having. I'm not suggesting we do this straight away, but a gradual move in that direction would be a good thing.